So everyone assumes that Apollo and Sales Navigator are the only options for finding B2B leads. I've spent years testing every tool out there and helped my clients at my agency generate over 4 million in sales. So at this point, I can confidently say that they're not necessarily your best options anymore. So in this video, I'm gonna break down real data across 5 different tools. And we'll even look at how this new AI tool might even change B2B sales forever. So let's compare the top 5 tools side by side using real data from 10,000 leads scraped from these tools. And to make this even more accurate, I didn't want to rely just on my own setup or just my own data analysis. So I decided to reach out to my friend Spencer, who literally builds controlled cold email experiments for a living. He offered to help me run a series of tests where we'd pull the same filters from Apollo, ZoomInfo, Sales Navigator, Lusha, and the AI tool Intellimatch. We're gonna send the same exact message from the same exact inboxes. This way we can track the real bounce rate and we can track the real reply rates. So Spencer even said that he'd do this for free, as long as we give him a quick shout out. So shout out to Spencer at Outreach Magic.
Thanks for the introduction there, Cody. We actually met in a cold email community and he was asking about being able to track different list sources. And I was like, well, in Outreach Magic, it's exactly what we do. Not only can you track different infrastructure, like what email servers, what mail servers, what platforms are doing the best, we also can track what list providers are doing the best. So when you upload your list, you can actually track which particular lead source it came from. And then all of our reports will aggregate that information and give you a breakdown of which list broker, which list source is doing the best. And we wanted to run a test across 5 different list brokers to see what kind of results we could get. So this is the results from that test. Let me just explain it to you. There was essentially what we did is we had 5 list brokers we were working with here: Intellimatch, Sales Navigator, ZoomInfo, Apollo, Lusha, and we sourced 3 different audiences: HR founders, SaaS founders, agency founders, and they were all in the United States and all the 11 to 50 headcount. We tried to get them as close as possible, so that way we were sourcing the same leads. And we sent 500 emails per list broker per audience. We did our best to get it exact. There was a little difference there, but it's pretty close. And for each particular audience, this is the breakdown of how many positives we got. So positive is those that actually replied with positive interest. The positive percent means that's how many emails were sent divided by the positives. The uniqueness is actually, we track across all the list sources. So when you upload the leads, we'll track across all the other list sources in your database and see how unique is that lead. Does it appear in any other lists? So the ones that have a higher uniqueness percentage means that none of the other databases had that lead. So the higher the uniqueness means like the lead is more fresh. It's probably going to be contacted less often. And then the reply rate would be, not only is it a positive reply, it might have been a negative reply as well. It's just any kind of reply to the email. The bounce rate is if it actually bounced. And it's important to note with these bounce rates, we didn't run these through a second email verifier. Normally we do that. That's best practice to run your emails through another email verifier. But for this test, we just wanted to run it as is. So we just uploaded the leads to the sending tool, to our platform, without re-verifying them. And so these numbers are a bit higher, but so you know, for reference, we didn't re-verify these leads. We can break this data down a lot of different ways. We could look and say, I just want to see Intellimatch and I want to see the percentage for that. And that will actually cross filter all the data. We could also say, I just want to see HR founders, how they did with that. Sometimes different list brokers will work better with different audiences. Some list brokers are better at sourcing higher headcounts, for example, and some are better at sourcing lower list counts. So this is a good way to be able to track that. You can also scroll down here and see this in a visual chart. So in this chart, we have a breakdown of the uniqueness, the positives, the replies, and the amount bounced. So you can see what that looks like. We also have here a scatter chart where on the left here, this is the percentage of the positives. And so the higher it is on the list is the more positives we got, the higher positive percent. And then to the right here, this is the uniqueness. So the more it is to the right and to the top is in theory better. So you can see this is how they broke down for each particular one there. I want to keep this video short, so I'll go and pass this back to Cody. But if you guys have any questions about Outreach Magic, definitely let me know. Talk to you soon.
Most companies are told that their cold email system isn't working because they're not writing good enough copy, their offer isn't good enough, or their deliverability is tanked. But I would like to let you know that that isn't necessarily the truth every single time. The cold email game is simply a lot more of a data quality game. And many of these tools and these SaaS companies are just plain lying about the quality of the data that they're giving us. Like, let's use Apollo, for example, a company which has said themselves that a 10% bounce rate is acceptable. I don't know what they're trying to do. I think that they're essentially just trying to convince us or convince their customers that it's really the best that can be done. And this allows them to continue giving their customers bad data. And the more cold emails you send that have a high bounce rate, the worse your deliverability is going to be. Like, imagine sending cold emails to 1,000 leads. You build a list of 1,000 prospects. If you get a 70% open rate, you're feeling good, right? You think your cold email system is working and you're super happy. That 70% open rate might convert into a high reply rate, and you might actually start booking demos. But under the surface, under the hood, the emails that you got from your Apollos, your ZoomInfos, your Lushas are at a 10, 20% bounce rate, meaning that 10 to 20% of these verified emails on your list are actually invalid. And every time your email accounts get a bounce, that's essentially like poison running through your domain reputation. You might not feel it today instantly, but when it comes to Google looking at you and looking at us, they kind of see us less and they start to trust us a lot less every time we hit send. So the next time we want to send 1,000 cold emails, we might end up seeing 20, 30% open rates because of the effect of the bounce rates on our deliverability. So basically, every dollar more that we're spending with these software companies is slowly diminishing right in front of our eyes. So that is exactly why in 2025, I follow a completely different approach. I call it deliverability-first prospecting. So this new method starts with one rule and basically just has one rule only. Have a less than a 3% bounce rate, or don't send cold emails at all. Like, I don't build a single cold email list unless I know my emails are gonna land. Because if I don't, imagine how much money, how much time, how much mental energy have I put into that campaign for it only to fail. If emails aren't hitting the inbox, money is being burnt and future pipeline is being ruined. So the best tools you can find do one thing very well. They support deliverability-first prospecting at scale. So the question now becomes, how do we actually implement deliverability-first prospecting without having to drown in 25 hours of weekly data cleanup? My opinion is that we have two paths here. Path number one, my team continues to use these traditional tools, your Apollos, your ZoomInfos, your SalesNavs, your Lushas, and accept this 60 to 70% email accuracy and having to go back and forth from 8 to 10 different tools and essentially waterfalling them. And honestly, that's not a bad approach. That's completely valid, especially if your current team is comfortable with that workflow and you have systems set up. So that's exactly why, after running this comparison, it became pretty clear that Intellimatch was the only tool that actually supports true deliverability-first prospecting. And here's something else that I discovered when I dug a little bit deeper into Intellimatch and why it performed so much better than everybody else. And instead of us having to juggle or play roulette between 10 different B2B sales tools and email verification tools, Intellimatch is the first all-in-one platform for AI prospecting. And a really cool thing is it actually understands what my team is looking for. Here's how simple it is to use. Instead of learning complex Boolean search strings and putting them on SalesNav, we just type in plain English, something like Facebook ad agencies in the US with less than 10 employees, or SaaS companies in Europe with 100 to 200 employee size. And unlike with Apollo or ZoomInfo, the AI that we're using doesn't just match the keywords. It actually visits prospects' websites and understands exactly what companies do. Because so many times, if you put in SaaS inside of Apollo, you're gonna get software development agencies, you're gonna get technology software companies that don't offer a service, just not SaaS companies. But here's the thing that really stood out in our testing. Intellimatch doesn't just find these companies, it's automatically qualifying them and explaining why. Like, why do they match our specific criteria? What my team did in the past is having to manually review hundreds of leads in a Google Sheet and usually putting a confidence score and reasoning, but this AI can do that for us. And not only does Intellimatch give us companies and the reasoning, it's also gonna give us the right contact, it's gonna give us their valid email, and it's gonna give us their phone number. And both the email and phone number are verified in real time for us, not just checked off this imaginary box like other tools. That's why with this test, we saw 95% plus deliverability compared to 60 to 70% from everybody else. The transformation was absolutely immediate. So what used to take us 20 hours across multiple tools now takes 2, 3 hours inside of one tool. Like I can literally describe my ideal customer using one sentence of natural language, like I would to a friend. And we're getting qualified leads with their verified contact information in a couple minutes, not a couple days. So I've completely replaced my tech stack with just Intellimatch. No more SalesNav exports, no more Apollo searches and then using a scraper, no more manual verification inside of Google Sheets, no more data cleaning. It is all automated. I use this tool for myself and I use it for my clients. And I do not plan on going back to the old manual route. But test it out for yourself and let me know if it works well for your specific scenario. But with all of this being said, having the best possible leads is just one part of the puzzle for building a successful cold email system. You still need to know like how to set up your email accounts properly, how to write cold email copy that actually converts, and then how to turn your cold email replies into sales calls and turn sales calls into closed deals. So if you want to learn my complete cold email system from the technical setup to the advanced scaling strategies, I put together basically everything that I do know inside of this free course right here. So click on this video where I'm going to walk you through the entire system that generates 3 to 5 sales calls per day from my agency. I'll also include links to Intellimatch below. That way you can see how to use AI for yourself, for your company to find your best fit leads. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in this video right here.